Hey, welcome back. It's Monday, ready for another tip. This tip today, we're talking on home inspections, but we're going to get into a few more details. Show some pictures of things that have been seen. So hang in there. Let's have some fun. Here we go. So rather than start with just all the old ordinary things, we can come and review with those. Let's think about some of the first things that you're going to do, some of the tips that the inspectors are going to give us. So let's take a look at one. Have you ever walked into a house? My inspector, one of the first things he told me one time, when he's looking around, he went into the closets first when he entered a room and checked up in underneath in the ceiling area. Because if you ever notice, people normally don't spend the extra money for that extra half gallon or gallon of paint. If they're going to just paint inside, they're going to paint the room and they don't worry about the closet because that's just more money and nobody's going in there, right? Now, challenge is if they've had a water spot up here in the ceiling because there's been a leak and there's browning, yelling, you think, wow, look, everything's so nice, it's painted. Well, if you go check up in that closet, that's usually the spot where you're going to see, if especially if it was that corner wall where the leak had been and it's right next to the closet, the people won't normally think to go in and paint in there. So they've covered everything in the room, but go back in that closet and take a look and see. Again, just an idea of a beautiful paint color extra coating doesn't necessarily mean it was done to make beauty. It might be done to cover something. So look in some of these places, like I say, the closets. Some other things to think about. Other things we find a lot of times deal with the things in the crawl spaces. When have you ever gone under your house? Be honest now. I've gone under, but it's not a fun thing to do, and I'm glad to pay someone else to go under there. But I can tell you, we've gone in, I've been in with inspectors looking at things, and we've gone in and found, even in crawl spaces, where someone has had a floor that was sagging a little bit. So they went in and put some supports underneath the main beams of the floor, and they've jacked them up. And there's ways to do this, and it's right, but they need to go in, the boards need to be set, the blocks that they go on need to be level and not crooked. And so we've seen houses where we've gone in and go underneath, and somebody just stuck a few boards there, cut ones different lengths, had the little adjustment bolts set too high, and then instead of just taking that few minutes to scrape the ground, level that concrete block that holds the board and make it level, they just left it there, and so it's crooked. So what's that going to do? When you get the weight on there, things going to shift, it's not going to support it. And what does the contractor think that did it? Hey, they're paying me, nobody's ever going under the house to look. So that's probably true 90% of the time. When they get caught, hey, you got the bill, take the picture, show it to them, let's get it fixed. So those are a couple tips that are different than what you might expect. Some of the other things, your inspector's going to go through, he's trying to get a good picture of everything in the house, how it looks, how it's been taken care of. So when they do, he's going to go through, and you've seen these plugs they put in, checks the grounding of the outlets, make sure that they're not wired backwards or something's not going to be a fire hazard where it won't trip. So they can tell that by these different plug checks that we can do. How about going in and filling all the sinks with water, all the bathtub, run the shower, flush the toilets, all these things. The reason they're doing that is to bring this up, find out if there's any water. Yeah, you or I might go peek under the sink and say, hey, it's dripping a little bit here, or no, it's dry. But how about where it goes down out from the house, it goes under before it goes away? You're not going to see that unless you're underneath the house. So by filling these tubs, then draining it, and by the time they get down underneath the house and see, you'll find out if there's any water running or leaking there. I mean, one example even too, if you've ever looked at your sink and you look at that little hole that's up here in the back section, you want to fill that up, make sure that that water goes into there and drains. It's kind of an overflow protection to see that it's not going to come up and go out all over the floor. Should drain through there, should drain back into the drain pipe, not underneath your counter. Checking for those things. The other things they're going to look for underneath the house while they're down there, insulation. Oh, what's coming up? How come your feet are so cold all the time? Or the house is cold in one room and not in the other? The insulation may have been dropped down. It may have just come free the way it was put up. Or you ever seen a little hole next to the little vents underneath the house? It looks like, oh, it's a quarter. What's going to get through there? Hey, here's our little friend. So when that mouse goes on in there, brings his buddies, sometimes you're going to find things that down there where the insulation is pulled down. The mouse is nice and comfortable because he made himself a nice nest with your insulation, and meanwhile you got the cold feet on it. So look for that. They'll look for any signs of any rodents being there that may be still underneath there, and be something you'd want to be aware of, to have that taken care of by the seller before you purchase a home, or be aware if it's something you're comfortable getting taken care of afterwards. How about going up in the attic? Another place. Some people go up, they've got some areas they'll store Christmas goodies and so forth, and decorations and things. Some attics, have the store space. Others just have space up there, but the main thing you want to get up there and see is the insulation good. Is there any signs of water damage or leakage of the roof that's coming through? Maybe hasn't quite got down to where it's showing in the ceiling in the rooms inside. But look for that water. What other signs might you have besides the water? You may get the rot on the wood in there. You may have mold, which you don't want to have in there. So getting that mold taken care of, checking for those. Hey, what about the furnace? Want to have that checked, and we'd like to have that inspected and make sure the filter's clean, make sure all the parts are clean and that everything's running smoothly. If it's all plugged up, that furnace is going to have to work harder. What does that mean for you? It means higher bills, higher utility costs. So make sure that that thing is in good shape and tuned up well. Those are some just of the basic tips and some of the things that they're generally looking for. And your inspector is going to give you a report. It's going to take pictures of all these things that he's gone through and seen as he goes through the house. So you'll have a picture of a challenge or of a good thing, and maintenance review with a summary telling you what each of those items are. That'll give you something to think about what you want to do, if you need to use that for asking the seller to do some repairs. And if you don't need to do that, you might just want to know it for maintenance items to keep up on. We'll see you next week. Don't forget to subscribe and check back with us. Check out some of our other videos here.